Welcome everybody, my name is Piero and today I'm going to show you how to make this. What you just saw is called a hyperlapse, and you essentially just need your camera, a tripod and editing software like Adobe Premiere Pro or After Effects. First let's clarify what is a hyperlapse and how it differs from a normal time-lapse. I think everyone knows time-lapses. Pretty much every camera or even phones have time-lapse modes by now. And there are some cooler time-lapses like rotating time-lapses or time-lapses on a slider. But hyperlapses are different. They are going towards away from an object or moving alongside an object, and it's just different. You might already have seen some cool hyperlapses from other YouTubers like Sam Calder, for example. I think he uses them quite often. And you probably ask yourself, how are they made? Let's get right into that. So this will be a 3-step project, and I will put timestamps down in the description so you can jump between different chapters or skip something or come back. And we will start with the photo shooting. Alright, so you're outside and you know which object you want to photograph. Take your tripod and put it on the ground. Best thing is if you have pebbles or something which have a similar distance from each other every single time. Otherwise you can just use your foot for each step. So make each step one photograph and make that like at least 90 times when you want to have 3 seconds. So imagine one photo is 1 frame and you want to shoot in 25 or 30 frames per second. That's the math. Another important thing is to think about the path of your photo hyperlapse beforehand, because when you run into things like this, it's going to be a problem. You can photograph with pretty much every camera, because in the end you will use JPEGs to make your final video. But it's still better to shoot in RAW, or I'm shooting on a Canon, it's DNG or something like that. Another thing you want to do is, if your camera has it, turn on the grid, so you can fix points on the grid of your camera. And you want to turn on your camera's inbuilt scale, in case your tripod has not one. Take your photos in the manual mode, with each photo having the same exposure and so on. And the more carefully you shoot your photos with less wobbles and stuff like that, you will have less work in the post-processing in Lightroom or Adobe After Effects. And if you feel already awkward filming yourself in public, taking like 400 photographs by making just one step after each other is even more awkward because everyone is looking. Once you're home and you copied all the photos from the hyperlapse photo shooting on your computer, we start with opening Adobe Lightroom. Once Adobe Lightroom opened, import all your photos by clicking on the Import button and select the folder where you saved them in. Here you go. Lightroom selects automatically all the raw files of your photos. In this case, for me these are 89 photos. Select them all, and if you want you can reorganize them in a collection. I'll call my collection Hyperlapse. Then select all the photos in your collection and hit the Develop button. In this case it makes sense to turn on the auto-sync, because we need to make the same changes on all the photos. Oh, and check as well if the crop settings will be synchronized as well. As a first step we need to change the image size to 180p for our film. So select the crop tool and click on As Shot, then select the 1080 option. Now you can move it around a little bit until you like it. The next step is the color grading. You don't need to do it if you want to color grade it in Premiere Pro later, but it is a good option to color grade it now because you have the opportunity to work with the raw files. So play around a little bit with the colors or use presets until you're happy with your photos. I like them to be like this because I think it looks cool with this orange yellowish color in the dark. Now we need to export the photos. Click on File, Export, and a new window will open. You can choose where you want to save them. I usually create a new folder for it. You need to choose JPEGs as the output file. and you can vary with the file quality, but I would recommend at least 75% of quality. Alright, now hit that export button, and then you need to wait, because this will take a while until you have all the photos in your folder. And I will get my dinner faster. Okay, I'm coming.
A few moments later.
Alright, where were we? Hyperlapse. We finished up the Lightroom part. Now we jump into making the actual video out of your photos. You can do it either in Premiere Pro or in After Effects. I prefer using After Effects because the tools are a little better in After Effects. But I will explain both. Again, timestamps down in the description if you want to skip to the Premiere Pro version, because I'm gonna start with Adobe After Effects. We need to open Adobe After Effects. Alright, After Effects is open. Let's make a new composition in 1080p, 30 frames a second is good. Let's set the time for the sequence to 5 seconds, just to be safe. Okay, now make a right click in the project window and select Import and File. A new window will open and you need to find the folder where you saved all the JPEGs. Select only the first photo and make sure Imported JPEG sequence is activated. Click Import and After Effects will do its magic and stitch together all the photos to a video. Drag that new video file in your timeline and let's just check how it looks like. Pretty shaky. Alright, let's work on that. First, cut the time until the sequence ends. Now we will make the footage less shaky with the warp stabilizer. Go up to the effects, and there it is when you used it before. Otherwise, you will find it under Distort, and there it is at the very bottom, warp stabilizer. Click it, and the magic starts again. This will take a while analyzing the background, but you can follow the progress up here. Once it's done stabilizing with the standard settings, your footage looks like this. Buttery smooth, but it's kind of zoomed in. So let's try some other settings. You got 4 options: stabilize only, stabilize and crop, stabilize crop auto scale, and synthetic edges. Let's try the second one. Okay, it got cropped a lot. I'm not sure if I like that. Let's try the synthetic edges. Herefore it needs to stabilize again, but the product looks usually good besides some weird glitches at the edges. But let's take the first one. I usually recommend that. Stabilize only. Here you see the true stabilized image with all the black corners, but I think it's the best image quality. Now we just need to get rid of these black edges. Therefore I just play around a little bit with the scale, rotation and position until it fits perfectly. And with adding the black bars at the top and bottom, I fine up the editing. I like that one a lot. Now I want to export this one from After Effects. You do this by clicking on File, Export, Add to Adobe Media in Core Queue, and then this program opens. And you can choose all the settings as usual, like in Premiere Pro. Click that green play button and here you go, your own hyperlapse ready to use. Now let's jump into Premiere Pro and I will show you how it works there. It works pretty much the same way in Premiere Pro. Make a right click in your project window, choose Import, and find your folder with the photos. Choose the first one as before and make sure Image Sequence is activated. Then click on Open. Now Premiere Pro imported the image sequence as a normal video file, which you can just drag into your timeline as usual. And here again it looks very shaky at first, so we need to warp stabilize it. Go to Effects and search for Warp Stabilizer. Drag that effect on the file and yes, there's an error. So what you need to do in Premiere Pro is to nest the sequence first for whatever reason. So make a right click on the file and choose Nest, and now you can drag the effect on it. And from now on the Warp Stabilizer works exactly like in After Effects, and you can see the progress in the window on the left. But I think like After Effects is a little faster and more detailed. The only benefit of using Premiere Pro is you don't need to jump between programs and you have the file in your normal sequence. In Premiere Pro you can choose as well between the different stabilizing settings, but I won't explain them over here again because I did it before and it's exactly the same. So if you skip to here, I have another timestamp down there in the description we can go back where I explain exactly the differences between the stabilizing settings. Yeah, that's it. It is easy as that to make a cool hyperlapse. But don't underestimate the time required to take all the photos. You might make 1 hour long photos to get 15 seconds of footage. But it's worth it. Alright, hit that like button if you desire, subscribe if you aren't already, and see you in the next one. I most definitely will. Whoop. I definitely need an external mic. I recorded all the audio for this video with my camera.